This used to be the crown jewel of Soviet technology.
Kernenergetik, Formel der energetischen Zukunft.
It was the pride of communist East Germany.
Die Anlage ist funktionstüchtig und betriebssicher.
Now it's become a nightmare.
Oh Gott, ist ja fast durchgängig.
Das ist schon so ein Bereich, wo man sagen könnte, okay, wir gehen mal einen Meter weg wieder.
This is one of the biggest and most expensive civil decommissioning projects in the world. It's taking decades longer than planned and is going to cost 10 times what it was supposed to.
We're going to be spending 2 days in there to find out what's taking so long.
And this is part of a hidden global trillion-dollar problem that's going to burden us for generations. This is the hidden cost of nuclear power.
Is that it? I think that's the big building back there. Ah, yeah, that's it. You can see the chimney. Yeah, this definitely looks like it was built in the 60s.
We're at the northeastern edge of Germany, right by the Baltic Sea. And this is a headache that's bigger than 200 soccer fields.
Hallo, guten Morgen. Dora, hallo.
Hier haben wir unsere Dosimeter.
We're entering a contaminated area, so we need to strip down and change into these sexy overalls. Kurt Radloff's parents both worked here when the plant was still active. Now he's the person handling the PR for this place. And right away, we're in the middle of the plant.
Wow, das ist ja riesig.
Ja, hier haben wir jetzt den Reaktorschacht. Der Bereich, wo sich auch der Kassettenkorb befunden hat mit dem Kernbrennstoff. Also eigentlich, wenn man so möchte, das Herz eines jeden Reaktorblocks.
This nuclear plant was once the cutting edge of Soviet technology.
Kernenergetik.
Germany is divided. We're in the communist-ruled East. The statues are impressive, the buildings austere. And East Germany needs energy. The coastal town of Lubmin is chosen to house the country's biggest nuclear power plant, partly thanks to its convenient location right beside cool water. The plant was supposed to provide about a quarter of the country's electricity.
Die Anlage ist funktionstüchtig und betriebssicher.
But soon, trouble starts. After just a year, a fire in one of the machine rooms breaks out, disrupting the cooling system. Multiple further critical problems are not reported to the public. But in 1989, the wall falls. And for the first time, West German inspectors have a look at the reactors. And they really don't like what they see. Multiple pressure vessels containing the nuclear fuel were brittle. The emergency cooling and backup electricity system was woefully insufficient. The reactor is deemed not safe, and experts recommend an immediate shutdown. All 5 of the plant's operational reactors are powered down. 5 years later, decommissioning starts. And this is what it looks like now.
Also ist hier der Bereich kontaminiert?
Man kann davon ausgehen, dass auch hier entsprechende Kontaminationen gefunden werden. Es wird gemessen, liegt man unterhalb der Werte, ist das nicht der Fall, muss weiter abgetragen werden. Das ist natürlich sehr aufwendig.
There are strict regulations about how long you can stay inside these halls. You can't eat or drink or go to the bathroom.
Wir sind jetzt 35 Jahre, nachdem es abgeschaltet wurde. Und eigentlich sieht es noch relativ voll aus.
Wir haben jetzt in unserem Fall die Großkomponenten ausgebaut, sprich die Reaktordruckgefäße, deren Einbauten.
After the power plants are shut down, the most radioactive parts, the nuclear fuel rods and everything around them, are removed first. The rods have to be left to cool down in the world's least fun pools and are then placed in interim storage. This process alone can take years. In this case, it was 7.
Also es ist schon sehr viel Vorarbeit sozusagen reingeflossen, damit überhaupt dieser Prozess auch der, sag ich mal, der finalen Schritte mit der Betondeko überhaupt starten kann.
But that was the easy part. 330,000 tons of material still needs to be measured for radioactivity and dismantled. You need to take out every door, pipe and cable, bit by bit. And then they're sent where we're going next, the decontamination factory. Because the problem with radiation is that you can't neutralize it. Nuclear fuel, classified as high-level waste, can continue to be radioactive for hundreds of thousands of years and needs to be locked away until it's no longer a threat. The components closest to the fuel, like parts of the pressure vessel, have been activated, which means that they were exposed to radioactivity long enough that they themselves emit radiation. These are classified as intermediate-level waste and can't be decontaminated either, so they too need to be stored away safely. But the parts that were further away from the fuel can be decontaminated. For that, you need to sort them by material and then separate off the radioactive layers.
Wir haben hier heute verschiedene Dekontaminationsstrecken. Das heißt, wir haben Trockenstrahlkabinen zum einen, wir haben eine Hochdruckwasserstrahlkabine hier am Standort.
This way, you can dramatically reduce the volume of waste that needs to be stored for the coming centuries. The easiest to decontaminate is loose surface contamination, which you can just wipe or wash off. But that's also very dangerous to get in contact with, since it's, well, loose. Then there is fixed contamination. This is when radioactive material is chemically or physically bonded to the surface, for example, when it's corroded. To get rid of that, you can either leach or strip it off using chemical baths, blast it off with granulate, or really high-pressure water, or, like blackheads, peel it off with radioactivity-removing foams or gels.
Das sieht aus, als ob es schon bearbeitet wurde.
Genau, das hier ist schon bearbeitet worden. Das sieht man auch, ne, daran, wie die Oberfläche aussieht mittlerweile. Und das hier ist noch unbestrahlt sozusagen.
Then every piece of equipment needs to be cut down to the size of these boxes.
Ungefähr Maße Europalette, 1,20 Meter mal 80 Zentimeter. Ja, und in die muss eigentlich alles reinpassen, was hier mal den Standort verlassen soll.
Once it's all been double-checked for remaining radiation, the decontaminated material can finally be put into a skip, or in rare cases, even recycled. All the materials that were used to decontaminate, like the granulate or the water used to blast off radioactivity, need to be stored away safely.
Das geht dann in ein Zwischenlager.
Genau, das kommt dann zunächst ins Zwischenlager bei uns hier am Standort, wird dorthin transportiert und dann können wir im Zwischenlager das entsprechend vorbereiten, auch für die Endlagerung.
According to the International Atomic Energy Agency, the whole process of decommissioning is supposed to take 15 to 20 years. But the problem is that in a lot of cases, many things just don't go according to plan. Like in this hall.
Das hier ist das Spezialgebäude 1, das Hochteil des Spezialgebäudes 1. Hier wurden zu Betriebszeiten Kontrollbereichswässer aufbereitet.
But there was an unpleasant surprise hiding in this building.
An diesem Ort wissen wir, dass hier unten in der Ecke ziemlich viel kontaminiert ist. Und wenn da irgendwo ein Riss im Spachtel war, was zu der Zeit damals vor 1990 wahrscheinlich hier keine Seltenheit war, ist es natürlich in die Risse eingedrungen und hat sich dann da breit gemacht. Also wir haben unten vorhin gesehen, so ein normaler Dosisleistungswert liegt bei 0,1, 0,15, vielleicht 0,2 Mikrosievert pro Stunde. Es ist ziemlich unter 0,2 jetzt. Wenn man weiter rüber geht, ist es schon mehr.
Oh Gott, ist ja fast durchgängig.
Wir haben jetzt hier ca. 10 Mikrosievert die Stunde. Das ist schon so ein Bereich, wo man sagen könnte, okay, wir gehen mal einen Meter weg wieder, ne, und bleiben jetzt hier nicht eine Stunde liegen oder stehen.
Every inch of this building needs to be checked for radiation and any contaminated concrete shaved or hammered off layer by layer.
Genau, Sie sehen das hier auch an den Stellen, ne, wo immer mit dem Stemmhammer gearbeitet worden ist, weil dort, wo noch Kontaminationen festgestellt wurden, deshalb ist die Wandfläche auch so uneben. Ne? Also man muss sagen, das ist eines der, glaube ich, am schwierigsten zu dekontaminieren, rückzubauenden Gebäude.
This isn't unusual. Leak contamination is also a problem with other old reactors, often delaying the process and increasing costs. Other obstacles can be limited space for waste, changing safety standards, technological complexity, funding gaps, or public opposition. Here, everything was supposed to be finished 10 years ago, costing €1 billion, but plans have changed.
Wir gehen davon aus, dass voraussichtlich hier der Rückbau dieser, Altanlagen bis Mitte der 40er Jahre auf jeden Fall noch in Anspruch nehmen wird. Wir schätzen die Gesamtsumme für den Komplettstandort hier auf ca. 10 Milliarden Euro.
The company is currently building new facilities to be able to dismantle big contaminated components like the pressure vessel. Cleaning those up could take another 20 to 30 years.
So I wanted to know whether this kind of cost overrun and delay is unusual.
The majority of the world's reactors are old. Hundreds of nuclear power plants are going into retirement in the coming decades. The current average lifespan of a plant is about 30 to 40 years. The problem is that even though we've had nuclear power for over 70 years, we've only finished shutting down a tiny fraction of our reactors. Of the over 600 ever built and connected, about a third have been shut down. But only this fraction, around 20 of them, have actually been fully decommissioned. The International Atomic Energy Agency estimates that it costs about $500 million to $2 billion to decommission one reactor. And several reactors have been successfully decommissioned more or less within budget. Overruns of Lubmin's magnitude are unusual, but many other projects have run over budget and are taking much longer than initially expected. Same goes for plants in the UK or Japan. Meaning that, globally, this could become a $1 trillion problem, even without significant cost overruns. Most countries make the companies that run nuclear power plants save money for decommissioning while the plant is operating. These funds are usually kept in special accounts and monitored by regulators. If the money isn't enough, governments often step in to cover the gap, like in the UK or in Eastern Europe. This is also what happened here. The plant was owned by the East German government, and the ballooning cost has to be covered by today's taxpayers. And we haven't even reached the last step of this process: storage. Germany doesn't have any permanent storage site for nuclear waste yet. That's why everything is currently kept in a building that we're not allowed to film the outside of, for security reasons.
I hope we get in.
Entering is even more complicated than in contaminated areas. The lower and intermediate level waste, which is 95% of the total waste here, is supposed to be sent to a permanent storage site in central Germany that's currently being built. As for the high-level radioactive waste, there are no concrete plans for where to store it yet.
Glauben Sie, dass in Ihrer Lebzeit Sie noch erleben, dass das hier alles abgebaut und verstaut ist?
Also was den schwach- und mittelradioaktiven Abfall angeht, hoffe ich das sehr. Ich ernähre mich gesund. Ich denke, das könnte ich schaffen, wenn die Planungen so weiter funktionieren. Beim hochradioaktiven Abfall, da mache ich mir natürlich keine Illusionen. Es sei denn, die Medizin macht noch ganz bedeutende Fortschritte.
And this isn't just a German problem. Only 2 of the 31 countries producing nuclear power are currently building a permanent storage site for high-level waste. So the fuel rods are going to have to sit around for a long, long time.
Wie hat man sich, als man das AKW damals gebaut hat, den Rückbau vorgestellt?
Also den Rückbau des Kernkraftwerks hat man damals so eigentlich nicht eingeplant. Und darüber hat man sich eigentlich zu Zeiten der Planung dieser Kraftwerksanlagen wenig Gedanken drüber gemacht.
This is something that is changing. Newer power plants are built with decommissioning in mind. Compared to older reactors, the designs are often more standardized and in some cases modular, making them theoretically easier to take apart. But since none of that has happened yet, it's hard to say whether that will significantly shorten the process or reduce the cost.
Guten Tag, Frontmessung. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Vielen Dank. Bitte Kleinteile.
Lucky.
This plant and its legacy will keep this generation and the next busy. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe for more videos like this.